Hey, let's talk about the most important thing in life. Money. Now, some people say that they can't afford to shoot film anymore because the prices are skyrocketing. And that certainly is true. I mean, Kodak, for example, increased the prices 1st of January 20%. A nice super wide Hasselblad like this one, easily 2000. Rolleiflex 2.8 like this, the same 2000. So no wonder people are getting scared and complaining about the prices. Now, some things go even crazier than appears. There was recently an auction where they sold a Leicas MP black paint. The estimated price was about 300,000, but in that auction it went all the way up to 1,200,000. So, I mean, things are getting out of hand, and no wonder people are complaining. If you add on top of all this gear, everything else you need to shoot pretty pictures, like a trip to Svalbard, it's easily 2,000-3,000 more. So, I mean, is there any way to make it cheaper? Now, I haven't had the courage to look into the expenditures and how much I pay for film photography. I mean, I just don't want to know. Until recently, I made a little Excel sheet and I started to calculate first how cheap can you go, and then what does it mean for me personally. And let me show you those Excel sheets. You might find that interesting. First, let's take a look at, how cheap can you go. So let's suppose that you buy a Holga like this. You can easily get one, 35 euros, dollars. You need one roll of HP5, this is $6, 6 euros. You need a development tank, these are all upfront investments. You can get one of these from eBay and whatnot, about 20. You need some developer, the bottle of Rodinal, 15. You need some fixer, a bottle of fixer, 14. Then you need a scanner. Now you can get a cheap scanner, a fairly good scanner online, 150. They sell Epson V550 here, just shy of 200 recently, brand new. So you can easily get a good scanner, 150. When you are a geek, you don't need editing software. I mean, you can go with GIMP if you got a back hair and you are strange and live with your parents until you are 45. GIMP is for you. If you are more modern and hip, you go with Snapseed on your phone. So you don't really need any editing software. So now this all upfront investment is gonna cost you 237, pick your currency, dollars, euros. So then let's look at the running cost, something that accumulates every time you take a picture. Let's first look at one single roll. You need to buy a roll of film, Ilford HP5, 6 euros. Then you need to buy Rodinal. I mean, that was 12 euros a bottle. And if you make that mixture out of this, it will cost you 12 cents a roll. Like if you make a stand development mixture. And then you need some fixer. From this one bottle of concentrate, you can make 5 liters of ready fixer. And from each liter, you can make about 15 rolls of film. So if I did the calculation right, eventually the cost of the fixer for one single roll is 23 cents. So to shoot one roll of film and to develop it, the running costs are 6 euros 35 cents. By the way, this shows you that there is no sense to trying to save in your development liquids. Like, that is the cheapest thing. Some people ask me like, how little can I use developer to develop this and that? And then I'm asking them like, why do you ask that question? Because I want to save developer. Like, now that's the wrong place to save, save somewhere else. So how much is that per image? 12 images, so 50 cents per image film cost. 1 cent per image for developer cost and 2 cents for fixture. That's 53 cents to develop one pitch. Now, is that expensive or not? So what do you get with 50 cents? I mean, you get one image. Well, then here in Europe you get a 1/4 liter, like 250 milliliters of gasoline for your car. And that takes you pretty much across the street. So I much rather spend it, taking pictures. I think that's a better investment. So can we do any cheaper? Let's try. So instead of a Holga, let's use a Smena. Smena is even cheaper. You should get one about 15 euros. And then instead of buying each and every roll of film separately, let's buy film in bulk. So you can buy 30 meters of, say, Fomapan 100 film, 45 euros. From that roll of film, you get 648 images. So if you cut that into 36 frame films, then each roll is gonna cost you 2 euros 50 cents. And then each image is gonna cost you just 7 cents. So if you go with bulk, 35 millimeter, 7 cents one frame. Of course, then upfront investment would include a bulk loader. You can get these online about 20 euros. You put the long 30-meter film inside of this thingy, and then you take one of these empty used cartridges and you sort of fill it up. You don't even need to be in a dark room when you do that. It's pretty easy to make your own film rolls, and you can actually make them also different length. You can make shorter and longer depending on your needs. I do pretty much all my 35 millimeter using this bulk loader. You need the same development tank, you need the same Rodinal fixer. Scanner is even cheaper if you go 35 millimeter. You can get dirt cheap scanners. And once again, editing software, if you live with your parents, as I said, you don't need anything. Now, what does it then mean for one single roll of one single image? So from that bulk roll, that bulk pool of film, you can make 648 images. So one image is gonna cost you just 7 cents. And then the same cost as developing the medium format per roll is gonna go for the developer and fixer, but since there are more frames in 35 millimeter film, it means that per image, the developer costs are only 0.3 cents. Yeah, just don't try to save there. And then fixer is just 1 cent. So if you buy this film in bulk and then you go and do the upfront investment, 226 euros in this case, you get a pretty neat set of photographic gear, and each frame is gonna cost you less than 8 cents. Now that I can't consider expensive anymore. So it totally depends on what do you really want to do. If you consider, analog photography expensive, you can go cheap if you want. But we all know how this goes. So even if you start with this dirt cheap stuff and you get decent pictures with these things, you're gonna get hungry and angry and whatnot, and you wanna invest. You start to accumulate cameras. Like that happens to everybody. And then you need to consider also some other gear. So I did some calculations for that too. Let's take a look. So I bought this super wide a few years ago and I paid 1,500 for this. And then there's pretty much the same upfront investment for everything, else. So if you use a better camera, development is not more expensive or scanning is not more expensive, it's just the camera that costs. So then my upfront investment was 1,700. So that's quite a lot of money. for me to get into super wide. Now, the running costs are the same, as I said, but then there's an interesting twist. I just recently looked how many pictures have I taken with my super wide. And I calculated that I've taken approximately 1,400 pictures during the few years that I have had it. Now if I would go and sell this thingy, the running, you know, a decent price, the street price for this might be around 2,500. So unlike digital gear, analog gear keeps on getting more expensive. And that changes the entire landscape. So now if I would sell this, I would probably get around 2,500. And then if I would sell the development tank online, I would probably get €5, and I could still get from my scanner €25, I can guarantee. So if I would sell all my gear, I would get $2,530 or euros. So that would then mean that during the lifetime of 1,400 pictures, I would actually gain, I had made $118 profit. So for 1,400 images, that would mean that I actually made money 8.5 cents per image. Now, without showing my pictures to anybody, without selling them to anybody, just shooting them and stucking them into my drawer, I made that money. And that's not all. If we go back to this crazy auction here and look at the prices, you know, they just sold the similar Hasselblad Superwide 4,560. So imagine I had gotten that I would have gained over 2,000 euros, and per image I would have made €1.50 per image. Now that is very interesting. So I can make more money with analog gear just by shooting, stucking the pictures into my drawer, and then selling my gear a few years later. Hey, so here comes a pro investment tip. Take a bank loan, buy the best camera you can afford, and promise yourself that you're gonna sell it in 3 years. Or even better, start day trading.